Namaskar. Good morning, and welcome once again to the second session of Advanced Strategic Management course of MBA. This course, which is, as I said, is by titled Advanced Strategic Management, the course code being MMPC 017. And I am Dr. Siran Mukerji, Additional Director in IGNU Regional Center, Noida. Well, friends, we had discussed the course structure, and I would reiterate the course structure again in the second session so that you are able to correlate with what we had done in the previous session. The course structure, as you see here, we have got four blocks: block 1, 2, 3, and 4. The first block we completed in the first session, which was pertaining to Introduction to Corporate Management. And in Introduction to Corporate Management, we had studied corporate management and introduction and the corporate policy. So this was basically the first block, was basically an introductory session. It is an introductory block of this advanced course of strategic management. However, it is kind of continuity of the MMPC 012's the strategic management course, and we moved on from what we had studied there. But here, what we are trying to study in the block 1 we had studied is the corporate level strategic management. In MMPC 012, we were talking of strategic management at the single firm unit, at the single at the single company level, at the smaller level strategic business units. Here, we are talking of the mega units, that is the corporate bodies, or we are talking of group of companies. So we are talking of strategic management pertaining to group of companies where there are number of companies, number of firms, number of units, number of strategic business units in within a single management, let's say within a single corporate body. So now we move on to the block 2 here in the second session, which is titled Corporate Level Growth Strategy. And in this, we will try to discuss the two units, that is the third and the fourth, which is related to intensive growth strategies of the corporate bodies. And also, we will take a portion of, if possible, if the time permits, we'll take a portion of integration and diversification growth strategies. Although there is another unit in this block 2 that is related to strategic alliances, but that we're going to take in the third session with the block 3. Okay, I will once again repeat the learning outcomes of MMPC 017. Well, the learning outcomes of this particular course code is to understand the abilities and attitudes of strategic management, to understand the growth strategies, the strategic management at a corporate level. Then, when we are talking of corporate level, now corporate operations could be at the national level, at the local level, if it's a national level corporate body, or it could also be international. So nowadays, in the era of globalization, in the era of multinational operations, obviously, when we talk of corporate level growth strategies, we tend to foray into global markets. We tend to foray into transnational operations. So as at the end of this course, MMPC 017, it is expected that you would have a better understanding of the learning strategies, including the strategic risk management, and then a concept of knowledge management. You would have an understanding of the concept of knowledge management, and you would also, since we are talking of strategic management at a very, very global, at a very wider level, so when we are talking of strategic management at a wider level, we are talking of growth strategies. So growth strategies do not happen without innovations. So we will also try to understand the role of innovation in strategic management. Obviously, it is expected that you know that without innovation we cannot grow. So innovation plays a very, very important role in strategic management, and that is what we are going to try to understand in this course. Okay, as I just now told you, this is the block 2 of MMPC 017, and it is titled Corporate Level Growth Strategy. It has three units, Unit 3, 4, and 5. Today we're going to do the Unit 3 and part of the Unit 4. We will continue with the remaining part of Unit 4 and the Unit 5 in the third session. Okay, now let's begin with the Unit 3, Intensive Growth Strategies, and the objectives of this particular unit. What are the learning objectives? We should be very clear about the learning objectives when we begin or when we commence any particular unit or any particular subject. Well, the learning objectives in this case, in case of Unit 3, are the you would be able to understand the concept of corporate strategy. We know what is strategy, although I am going to take in brief, I'm going to discuss with you strategy, tactics in this unit also. But still, at the end of this unit, you will be able to understand the concept of just not strategy, but the concept of corporate strategy. So, whatever we have studied so far, whether it is in the first block of this particular course code or whatever we have studied in MMPC 012, well, we carry on, we move on with that understanding. And here, in contrast to what we studied there, we are going to widen that understanding to an international mega level strategic management. Then we'll also have an understanding of the generic corporate strategies, the different kind of corporate strategies, different kind of strategies that the corporate bodies adopt or utilize for their growth, for achieving their objectives. Then we would also have an understanding of the nature, scope, and approaches to implementation of stability and growth strategies. So, strategies can take the organization to a level of stability, or it can also take the organization to a level of stability and growth. So, growth always does not mean making the organization unstable. Although, when there are changes in the organization, when we are trying to usher in a certain level of changes, obviously there would be destabilization, or let's say there would be certain kind of instability. But then from stable position we move to an unstable position, and then from the unstable position, we once we reach that next level of our operations in the organization, we attain the stability at that level. But then it is our energy, it is our objective not to remain at that level. We strive to move further up. So, we in this unit, we'll try to understand the implementation of stability and growth strategies, and also we will also try to understand the rationale. That is the reason. Why do we need to adopt these various corporate strategies? Why do we need these strategies? Why does an organization need these strategies? Can't it remain at the level that it is in? Can't it operate at that same level? Suppose if it is achieving its objectives, suppose it is accruing enough of profits, it is the present operations are generating the profits that the company is looking at. So, but still the company expansion strategies. So what is the reason for such kind of adoption of these strategies? Now we begin with our unit. Well, as I said, we're going to have a quick recap of strategy, tactics, so that or let's say all of us, we are in sync with the understanding of the concept of strategic management. Well, strategy is basically the binding force. It builds up the relation between the means and the ends. So means are the ways of moving on, the path, the operations, and the ends are the objectives. So strategy is the plan of action. It is basically no, it is basically working out the plan that would take us to the objectives. So it's like, you can consider it kind of a roadmap. But is the roadmap enough? No, it is not enough. See, we have two things. in our life or in the companies, anywhere, any organization. One is the roadmap, the map which gives us the direction, which tells us how we are going to move through the let's say the various challenges, the various hurdles that are coming, and then there is the compass. The compass takes us to the point where we are supposed to reach. So both the compass and the map, both of them, they have their own importance. Similarly, the strategy is what it is kind of building a relationship between this map and the compass. So when we are talking of the objectives, when we are talking of the directions, the ways of moving through them, then we can say that strategy is also related to the results sought, that is the objectives, and for achieving those objectives, what are the resources required by the organization. So basically, what does strategy do? Strategy helps the organization in deploying the resources and in using the in let's say optimum utilization of the resources, and at the same time the what helps us in using those resources, it is the tactics of the organization, the tactical management level. They help in employing these resources, so both they work in sync. There has to be a synergy between the strategy and the tactics for the organization for ensuring adequate growth in the organization. So can't you see there is a very very close connection, there's a very very close relationship between the strategy and the tactics. So it is basically the strategy, that is the plan of action, and the tactics, that is how we are going to do it. That both of them, the operations, basically both of them, they help us in bridging the gap between the means and the ends. And when we are talking, as I said, I'll not spend much time on this particular concept, but when we are talking of corporate level strategies, when we are talking of corporate level strategic management, we are talking of corporate organizations, that is the mega organizations, which are not a single unit, not a single firm, not a single company, but these are all group of companies, these are group of operations, these are group of strategic business units which are working in different directions towards achievement of the corporate goals, corporate objectives. So we can say that each business unit will have its own set of objectives, will have its own set of goals, will have its own set of skill sets, will have its own set of resources. And these resources, when they are deployed, they help each unit to achieve these goals, to achieve these objectives. And these objectives will not necessarily be the same as the corporate goals, but they will take each unit towards achievement of the corporate objectives, because after all, we are not diverging, we are all converging. So various units of the business, of the corporate body, various units, they will all be converging, although their means would be different, but end would be similar. Okay, levels of strategies. You see, there are three levels of strategies, three levels of corporate strategies. So there is a corporate strategy, the second level is the comparative strategy, and third is the functional or the operational strategy. Now, corporate strategy, as we can understand from this term, corporate strategy are the strategies which are very broad. They are long-term plans of actions which are generally developed, which are modulated by the top level management, by the corporate level, and they generally provide the direction to the organization. So once the corporate level strategies are set, once they are defined, each business unit knows exactly what they are supposed to do and where they are supposed to reach. So there are three components of this corporate strategy. One is the growth or the directional strategy, which includes the growth of the objectives, the retrenchment to stability to growth. Then we have the portfolio strategy, that is the this is the second component. So one is, which is telling us where we are supposed to go, the direction. Second is, it is what we are supposed to do. That is the portfolio of business, that what kind of business we are going to do, what kind of business units we are going to have, and what kind of products or services we are going to manufacture, we are going to supply, we are going to offer to our customers. So that is basically your portfolio would be like, the basket of products that we are going to offer to the customers, in obviously in a multi product, multi business organization. And here, when we are talking of corporate organizations, corporate bodies, obviously we are talking of multiple of organization which is handling multiple businesses, multiple units, multiple products, multiple services. And then we have corporate parenting strategy. That is, when we're talking of parenting, that is, the top level corporate body which is developing this plan of action of allocating the resources at the very top level, what kind of resources, what kind of resources and at what level these resources are going to be provided to its strategic business units, so that they are able to achieve their goals, their operational goals, and then finally contribute towards the long term objectives of the corporation, of the corporate body. The second level of strategy is the competitive strategy. Now, what is a competitive strategy? These are basically, as you see here, decisions determining how the firm will compete in a specific business or industry by understanding the competitive forces. Now, it is very, very important for us, for each business unit within the corporate body, to understand the competitive forces. Now, these competitive forces, if you recall, we had discussed earlier, they would be the external forces, they would be the industry forces, and within the industry there would be the competitive, let's say, forces, the companies which are our competitors, their forces, then the external environmental forces. So we need to have a proper understanding of all these forces in order to determine the competitive strategies of the organization. And this, all these competitive strategies for each business unit, they would be different. However, they will all merge towards finally moving towards this corporate strategy, towards finally achieving the organizational objectives. And then we have the third level of strategies, that is the functional or operational strategy. Well, as the term shows, functional or operational strategies, these are the short term, goal directed, functional department specific strategies. So, can we say that these are the strategies which are devised, which are formulated by individual departments within the strategic business unit, within the firm, within a company, so that the long term objectives of the individual business unit, of the individual company, of the individual firm are achieved. Well, yes, the functional and operation, or the operational strategies, they help the company to move in the direction which is being set forth by the corporate level strategies. It helps us in following the path which has been laid out by the strategies at the corporate level. Well, now, as I said, that we are talking of corporate growth strategies. So why these corporate growth strategies are important? is that the resources that we are using, maybe we can try to find out better way of utilizing those resources for achieving the objectives and for getting better results with the same kind of resources. So what is the stability or consolidation strategy alternative? It is basically maintaining the current business in the same market with same products. Why would you change? Why would you need to reorient yourself if by the current level of operations you see that you are achieving the organizational objectives? You don't need to change actually. So, and if you see that already the organization, all the resources, including the human resources, the competency level of the human resources, that is optimum, and the effort that is being put by the people, by the entire organization, if you think that is optimum, then we don't need to spoil the apple cart. Why unnecessarily disturb the apple cart? So that is, in basic terms, that is basically what we consider as the basic motto of stability or consolidation strategy alternatives. Only what we can do is we can try to because we're looking at innovation also. So maybe by remaining in the same market, by trying to develop the same products, only what we can try to do is how we can have an improved method of developing the same product or the same service. The operations, or let's say the activities, that could be improved. So we can focus on fine tuning the business operations, improving the functional efficiencies by better deployment of resources. So maybe the resources could be better resources could be deployed. The competency level of the employees could be enhanced so that we achieve the objectives, maybe the same objectives at a much shorter time, or in a better way we can achieve those objectives. So this is, don't you think that it is a kind of defensive strategy in a very stable business? Now again, for such kind of strategic alternative to be implemented, to be adopted by the organization, it has to be agile business. We will be able to survive? No. So such kind of business alternative, such kind of strategic alternative is suitable only for stable business environments where there's not much of external environmental changes. What are the approaches to stability strategies? We have the holding strategy, then we have the stable growth strategy, then third one is the harvesting strategy, fourth is the profit strategy. Now quickly let's just look into each one of them. Holding strategy is basically what? Continue putting in the effort, continue consolidating the position, and direct all your efforts in such a manner that you continue being in that position in the industry. That is what you try to do. Is it is need for an opportunity to rest, digest, and consolidate after growth. So like we were at this level, so let's say level A. We, with our changed strategies, we have moved to level B. Then holding strategy is we continue our operations so that we don't fall back to A, but we will remain in the B position. So we consolidate our position at the B level. So generally what happens is after growth, all our efforts should be mobilized in such a direction that our position remains at that new status. We have to maintain status quo. We should see that all our efforts endeavor in fact towards further going up and not coming down. So uh, so holding strategy also involves an uncertain hostile environment which requires staying on in a holding pattern. Like for example, during the covid times, it was the endeavor. It was a very bad time for all the people, including the business environment, the business world, so corporate levels. It was a very bad environment. The business had almost come down, the markets had gone down. So in such a situation, the it would be the endeavor of the company to continue remaining wherever they are. So use the resources in such a way so that they remain at that point and they don't slide down further. So that is the holding strategy. That is, put in all your resources, deploy all your resources so that we remain at that level, we don't go down. Next strategy is a stable growth strategy. We are at position B. We continuously, that would be all our strategy, all our plans, all our tactics, all our policies would be such that we continue operating at the B level itself. And we, at the same time, we ensure there is a gradual growth, not a volatile situation wherein there is a what do you call, a sudden growth, sudden spike in our operations. No, gradual growth. Thus, gradually we are trying to penetrate the market. Steadily we are trying to increase our operations. Steadily we are trying to increase our market share by not suddenly launching products, but gradually adding new products and new services in the already existing basket of products or services. Harvesting strategy. Now, harvest means what? You have already reached that growth and that fantastic level where you are achieving all your objectives. So now it is the situation, it is the place where we need to then harvest our fruits. We need to, whatever we have gained, the company has reached a position where we try to reap the benefits of our efforts of the previous phases of the business life cycle. So harvesting would be when harvesting strategies would be implemented by the organization when it has a very, very dominant market share position. So it is already there. They know that nobody can challenge us. We are already the leaders in the market. We are already leaders in the industry. Now it is for us to reap the benefits, to generate sufficient business so that we continue remaining at that level. We can do cost cutting because we already are reaping the benefits. We see that this is the profit that we desired for, and we are getting that profit. So now what we try to do, we try to do economies of scale. We try to reduce our cost of production. We try to reduce the cost involved in generating those profits, so that we increase, our profits get increased, but the expenditure goes down. And the fourth is the profit or end game strategy. That is, we have already reached the saturation point. The company has already reached the saturation point. It is at that very, very stable point. It is at the very saturation point. It cannot move beyond. So what it tries to do, it tries to capitalize on that situation, because after this there will be a fall. The products will be obsolete. The market would demand better products, or we see that our competitors are trying to do enough of research so that they are able to come with better products. So what we are trying to do, instead of developing new products before we move on to the next stage, or before we move on to innovation is continuing for developing a new product. But then what we are trying to do is we are trying to capitalize, we are trying to fructify on the past years of efforts and try to generate business with whatever existing level we have. Okay, now the next alternative business strategy is the growth or expansion strategy. Now, as the name shows, growth or expansion. So here the company looks for flourishing. The company looks for growth. The company not only looks for survival, basic survival. It looks for enhancing its business. So it allows the organization to maintain their competitive position in rapidly growing national and international. So maybe, we are at present, we are supplying our products to the customers at the very national level, or let's say at a regional level. Then we say no, that these products are good enough. Why don't we why don't we move on to international level? Why don't we move our operations to a global level? So those strategies would be related to growth or expansion strategies. So and the growth or expansion strategies would, please try to understand, they would not be short term goals. They would not be short term objectives. They would be, obviously, when we are talking of growth or expansion, that means these are very, very long term. They're not for the next 2 months, 3 months. They would be next, trying to chart out the plan of action, trying to chart out the path for the company, for the entire corporate body for the next, let's say, 5 years. So we are looking at long term growth objectives. And these growth or expansion strategies, they focus on growth, they focus on increasing the market share, they focus on new markets, as I said, from national to the international level, or let's say from even at the international level also, let's say regional level, that is, we are catering to our customers at the in the SAARC countries. Then we say no, why don't we move to Middle East also? Why don't we try to supply our products to Middle East? And once Middle East is done, then why don't we try to supply our markets to North Africa? So we are trying to gradually we enter the new markets. Then we how do we enter the new markets? Obviously, we have to acquire new resources, we have to develop new technologies, because we're talking of growth. So there would be significant changes in the present level of operations. The present level of operations will change from, let's say, 30,000 units of a particular product being manufactured to, let's say, 300,000 units of a particular product to be manufactured. So you see, the scale of operations will increase. And when the scale of operations will be increased, do you think the present level or present competency level of our human resources would suffice? No. We would require better human resources, or we would require present human resources with enhanced competencies and capabilities. And then when we are looking at growth strategies as an alternative, then also we have to maintain the competitive advantage. Because there, when we are talking of moving from local to global level, then obviously the industry is increasing in size, the number of competitors are increasing, the market size is also increasing. Obviously, we'll have more of competitors. So accordingly, our analysis of the competitors, our strategic analysis process, that also is going to widen. Okay, now within the growth and expansion strategies, there are different approaches to growth and expansion strategies. First is the intensive expansion strategy. What does it involve? It involves expansion within the existing line of business. So we don't move to a completely different direction. What we do is, the products, let's say we are manufacturing 5 different kinds of products. We have 5 different units within the corporate body, and these 5 different units are manufacturing 5 different kinds of products. So as a part of intensive expansion strategy, what we try to do, we try to expand within these 5 different kinds of products only. So let's say we have product A. Let's say it is a kind of, let's say it's shampoo. So then what we try to do is, we expand and we try to develop different kinds of shampoos. So that widens our reach to the different kinds of customers. Then save this intensive expansion strategy, it safeguards our present position and expands in the current product market space to achieve the growth targets. It concentrates on primary line of business. See, we're not, as I said, we're not changing the business in this case of strategy. We remain, while remaining in the same business, we are expanding our operations. Then it can be accomplished in three ways. How? By market penetration. We penetrate more into the market. Market already exists. So what we try to do is we try to reach out to larger number of customers. Then market development. What we try to do is, let's say we are already operating in North India. Then we try to say that why not supply our products, we expand further, why not supply our products to South India also, or to East India also. So that would be, we try to develop more markets. That is expansion, isn't it? It is growth, it is expansion. And third is product development, that in the current market only, why don't we try to develop new products? Like for example, we were in the toiletries segment. We already are into manufacturing shampoos. We are into manufacturing of soap, bathing soaps. And then we say that why don't we try to develop, because the product would be similar, why don't we try to develop hand wash? So within the current market, we are developing new products. So these could be the three different kinds of intensive expansion strategies. Then the second kind of growth strategy is integration. Now, integration again is of two types. You have horizontal integration and vertical integration. So in case of horizontal or vertical integration in strategy, growth or expansion strategy, what it would be the organization will grow by expanding externally by combining with other firms. Now, when we say combining with other firms, what is it going to be? When we say vertical, that means, as you know, vertically it's like this, and horizontally it's like this. So it that would be, but then what would be the rationale for that? The rationale would be, it will be driven by need for survival and growth by building in synergies. So like for example, in case of horizontal strategies, two similar kind of companies manufacturing similar kind of products, they decide to combine, they decide to integrate. So there is a synergy of effort, there is synergy of resources, there is synergy of technology, with the objective of providing a better kind of product to our customers. Similarly, vertical strategy would be what? Vertical strategy would be when in the supply chain we either move backwards or we move forwards. When we say backward vertical strategy, then it would be like, for example, I'm coming back to the same example, we are into manufacturing of, let's say, bathing soaps. So what we try to do is, in the supply chain, there are companies which are supplying us with the raw material for manufacturing of these bathing soaps. What we try to do is we integrate with those companies which are manufacturing those raw materials. Thus, what we are doing, we are not only manufacturing the bathing soap, but we are manufacturing the raw material also you required for the bathing soap. That is backward. Or there could be forward integration, like for example, we ourselves, we are manufacturing, let's say, the raw material for bathing soaps. Now this time we are manufacturing the raw material for bathing soap. So we say, when we are manufacturing the raw material, why don't we ourselves manufacture the bathing soap itself? So what we do, we try to find out, one way is we grow. Second way, that is, we try to establish our own bathing soap factories. Or the other way is, what we try to do is we try to integrate with those companies which are already existing and which are operating and which are manufacturing the bathing soaps. So these are the different kinds of and as you understand, these strategies are such strategies which involve massive operations, massive changes. So naturally, all the decisions pertaining to such kind of changes are at a very top level. That's why we are calling them strategies. That's why we are calling them corporate strategies. They're not operational strategies. However, the operational strategies will be based on these major corporate strategies. Now, integration, I think we've already discussed. Integration is used for what? Integration is used to increase the market share, to avoid the cost of developing new products internally or introducing in the market, to reduce the risk of entering the new business, speed up the process of entering new market. Because there is already a company which is in the new market, so why unnecessarily we again get into research and development of trying to find out the various nuances of the new market. Instead, what we try to do is we integrate with that company which is already existing in the new market. Then integration could also be used for diversification. It could be used to reduce intensity of competition by taking over competitors. So, and as I already discussed, it could be vertical integration, that is integration of firms involved in different stages of supply chain, or it could be horizontal integration, that is integration of various companies at the same level, same line of business. Now, there's the third approach to growth or expansion strategy. See, what was the first? Now I'm going back again. A quick recap. The first approach to growth or expansion strategy was the intensive expansion strategy. The second one was integration, that is horizontal or vertical integration strategies. The third is diversification strategy. Now, as you would maybe try to understand, or maybe try to figure out, diversification means what? We are into manufacturing of, let's say, we have now, let's move into the food industry. So in the food industry, food processing industry or food industry, we are into manufacturing biscuits, different kinds of biscuits for our customers. Now, what would be, I'll just simply go one step back. If we talk of integration strategy in a biscuit industry, what it would be? We are manufacturing biscuits. There is company A manufacturing business biscuits, company B manufacturing business. Both of them are competitors of each other. What they say, that why do we need to compete? Why are we not? Why don't we merge? We integrate. So we have a wider market, because let's say A is looking after business in North India, B is looking after business in South India. So once they try to integrate, then they'll have a very large market catering to A, let's say North India, and B, South India. Or what it would be? It would be biscuits, manufacturing biscuits. And what it does into, it also tries to manufacture the white flour required for manufacturing of biscuit, or it goes on to manufacturing the, let's say, the baking powder, or goes into manufacturing sugar. So once it takes over those factories, those industries also, then it will be much easier. They will not be dependent on any kind of external factor for supply of their raw material. So diversification could be something of this kind. It will be, what is it? Diversification strategy would entail in, or would involve moving into new line of business. Nothing which could be, it could be somehow related, but not necessarily. So let's say we take the apparel industry. There is a company A which is into manufacturing and has got a very large chain of apparel stores all across the country. So, and then it says that we are into apparel. Now, what is related to apparel? There is accessories. So why don't we also get into that business of manufacturing accessories? Then in that case, all our customers, they will, when they come to our retail chain, apparel store, They will not only get apparels, not only get clothings, but at the same time, they will also get accessories like, for example, belts. They would get shoes. They would get, let's say, different kind of clips, or they would get, let's say, handkerchiefs or innerwears. So that is something like what we call as diversification strategies. And diversification strategy generally happens when the company sees, the corporate body sees that our companies have already reached the stagnation level. Beyond this, there'll be a fall in our profits. So once it has maximized, then from there, where does it go? That's where it looks for diversification. Then there's the international strategy, the fourth kind of growth expansion strategy. We are already having a very good market share in the country. We have got significant business. Then what we try to do is we try to move beyond boundaries. So beyond boundaries means foreign markets, international markets. We move on, we foray into international markets, we move into global arena, which would obviously give what? It's going to give us additional opportunities, is going to increase our market share, not only within the country, but abroad. Now we move on to the fourth unit, integration and diversification growth strategies. As I told you, will take. I don't think the time will permit us to complete this unit today. We will take only a part of this unit, and then we'll try to complete it in the next or the third session. Now, fourth unit, integration and diversification growth strategies. Moving on from what we were discussing in the third unit, the objectives of this unit will be, as we end this fourth unit, you would be able to understand the various diversification strategies in detail. Then you would also understand that why does a company need to pursue diversification strategies. Then you would also have a clear cut understanding of the different paths to diversification, how the company can diversify, and you will have a better understanding of M&A. M&A stands for what? It stands for mergers and acquisitions. And why mergers and acquisitions? You will be able to understand the reason behind mergers and acquisition strategies that are being adopted by corporate bodies. Okay, now diversification. Now we continue with our discussion that we were already doing in the previous unit. Diversification means what? It means moving into new line of business. Happens, and when does it happen? It happens when the firm in the industry reaches a limit of growth using both vertical and horizontal growth strategies. It has used both vertical growth, that is, it has, let's say, either taken over the other companies in the industry, or it has also, let's say, has already had certain amount of vertical integration with various other companies which are in the chain. Then they see that beyond this we can't do anything. Now what? We can't be there, we can't be dormant. So we have to be, we although we are at a stable position, but then we can't be stagnant. There we have to remain dynamic. So then in that case, for further growth opportunities, the option is to diversify by expanding into different industries. Now the industries could be similar industries, or it could be completely different industry. And when does it happen? It happens when the firm faces uncertain conditions in its core product market domain. It sees that maybe there's suddenly there is a competitor which has hugely grabbed away the market share. Then, and in such a way that there is a fall in the market share of of this company. So we cannot afford to remain there. So what next? We have to diversify. And when we try to diversify, we are trying to enter new product line, which requires new processes, it requires new services. Again, diversified areas means new markets, new set of customers, new skill sets, new knowledge, new competencies, new resources. So it is a completely changed, diversified corporate strategy which involves lot of thinking, because everything is going to change. So, and it involves lot of new resources also. Now, there are two types of diversification strategies: related diversification, or it is also called the concentric diversification, or the second kind of diversification could be unrelated diversification or conglomerate diversification. As the name shows, related diversification, can you make out something of it? Related diversification, that means what? Although we are diversifying, we are moving away from our line of products, but what we are trying to do is we are moving to related products, not completely unknown different products, related products. So related diversification is what? It expands in the related industry. It will remain in the present industry will remain, but it will also diversify in the related industry. Like I said, apparel industry, and then we have the accessory industry. So we are in the fashion industry, but then we are related. It's not that from apparel we have moved to food processing. That would be completely unrelated, and that would be what? Unrelated diversification or conglomerate. That's an example of that. Okay, so moves to market having synergy with the present product line and market. That's it. See, the retail chains of the apparel stores that we have. Do we need a separate store for our accessories? No. Within the presently existing retail chain of stores, we can have a space within each store for our accessories also. There are, I would not like to name any particular company, but there are n number of companies now which are doing this, which are adopting this strategy. So they have both existing and new business share, gain advantage from commonalities of technologies. They know the customers. They have a knowledge of what kind of customers do they have, and what their likes and dislikes would be. They get feedback, and accordingly they can develop the new diversified product. New industry is related to the present industry in some way. Like I said, accessory industry, apparel industry, or to a certain extent you can say apparel industry, and then they could be also, footwear, although they are two different areas, but still, then in that case what you would do, they would be also within this diversification, there would be certain level of integration. So what you do is you try to merge, or you try to acquire the companies which are into footwear manufacturing. So then in that case, you are using their skills, you are using their competencies, you are using their resources, and you don't have to set up a whole new factory for that, manufacturing unit for that. So this is basically related diversification. Then you have unrelated or conglomerate diversification. I gave you the example of a while back. A company seeks to grow by adding entirely unrelated products and markets to its existing business. We are into food processing, and then we suddenly, what we do, we go into, let's say, medical, pharmaceuticals. Now, these are two different areas completely. Or for that matter, we are into leather industry, we go into textiles. So that would be an example of unrelated diversification. Okay, well, as I said, we will not be able to complete the fourth unit today. We have discussed only the various. We tried to understand diversification. We have tried to discuss the types of diversification, and then now what we'll try to do is, in the next session we will try to see why diversification is required. We will try to have a better understanding of mergers and acquisitions, and then we'll move on to studying the fifth unit, that is the strategic alliances. Once again, thank you so much. But also, I would again try to remind you that please try to start doing your assignments. It is the time, 31st March would be the last date for submitting your assignments for this particular semester. If you try to study and try to solve the self assessment questions, that would in turn help you in solving the assignments, and the assignments would ensure preparedness for the term and examinations. Thank you so much. Namaskar.